Penny, thank you very much for coming to see us.
No problem.
I wonder if you could just give us your name and your role.
I'm Penny Revitt. I'm a senior occupational therapist.
So let's take you back to when you were young, when you were at school. When you began to think about what kind of job you wanted to do, it could be when you were 6 or when you were 16, did you ever have a job that you thought you might want to do?
Initially, I thought about nursing, and I wanted to go into nursing. And I did a pre-nursing course at a local college in Lincolnshire, along with some A-levels. And as part of that pre-nursing course, I got to go to see an OT department. And I thought, oh, I like this, and I like this sort of work. So actually, I won't go down the nursing route, I'll go down the OT route.
And we must remind people that OT means occupational therapist.
Yes.
Did you have a particular favourite subject at school?
Ooh. I quite like things like history, humanities, English. Didn't particularly like maths.
I was terrible at maths. Yeah, maths is not my
so
strong
and languages not particularly, but yeah, more so humanities and English.
So you finished school at 16. Then what do you do?
I went to my local FE college because my school didn't do A-levels.
So you went and did A-levels there?
Yes.
And what A-levels did you do?
I started off doing history and psychology. Then I swapped my psychology for sociology. And I actually did the history, I think it was in a year. And I knew the grades I wanted, and the grades then were very different for occupational therapy than what they are now. And I got my grades, did my pre-nursing course along with it, and then that meant I had some experience. I worked in a care home in the holidays. It's not just one aspect of care that you've had an involvement with. You've gone the gamut, really. So what was it like working in a care home? I think I found it really interesting. It was a long time ago, and I would say people probably then were more able than they would be if I went into a care home to look after people now. But for me, it was about being alongside people, and just having that experience of being in people's lives, and it was a good experience. And
when you were younger, you thought about perhaps being a nurse, so there was always that thought of care and helping people.
Yes, there was, and in my family one of my cousins had Down syndrome, so I'd grown up alongside her, and I'd done things like, my mum was part of Age Concern in the town, so I'd gone along and helped with coffee mornings and dinner, lunches, and sat talking to older people. So I'd always had a lot of involvement with people and sort of care type situations.
And was there a local care home that you had an involvement with before you worked there? Did you volunteer or get to know a care home first, or did you go straight in?
I think it was because there were some members of my church at that time that had a link to that care home, and it was through that I went and did some work.
So once you'd worked at the care home, what was your next step?
Going away to OT college.
That's when you made the decision you were going to be an occupational therapist. Tell me, I'm sure there's not a normal day, such a thing as a normal day, but is there a routine that you have? What's an average day for you?
An average day is looking at my own cases that I have, the ones I'm trying to progress, the people I'm trying to help, where I've got with each of those people, what else I need to do, visits, liaising with other professionals, ordering equipment, progressing major adaptations. So there's that side of it. There's also the side of helping other team members with complex cases, being a
an OT resource, if you like, so that social workers, independent and wellbeing practitioners can ring me up or any of the OTs and say, I'm not sure about this, what do you think? Do we need you? Can you help me sort this out? And it might be somebody's access problem, it might be a bathing issue, it might be an adaptation, it might be rehousing, a whole range of things.
And do you always have to go out on a visit, on an assessment, or do some issues, can you solve those without doing a visit?
Some of those now, we can now resolve quite confidently without a visit. I think that's what COVID taught us.
Of course.
Because we were much more office-based, and that was a very big change for us to be much more online and much more office-based. And how could we do things? Some things, not everything. I mean, I certainly missed doing some of the manual handling things face-to-face, because they're the things that I want to get real hands-on. And so they were the things I struggled with in a more WhatsApp online sort of thing. They were much more difficult, but I think, yes, being able to talk to people and fast track equipment, and we were confident about that. It might take a bit longer trying to do it online, sharing photographs, trying to judge things when you're not seeing them for real.
And I suppose that would have become even more important to them during the pandemic, that there was somebody to talk to.
Yes.
Because they wouldn't have been able to talk to that many people, and so
No.
the ability to sort of talk through their issues would have been a valuable thing.
I mean, I can remember that it was almost as lockdown happened, one of my customers, I got a call from the husband who says to me, what am I going to do if my wife gets COVID? What am I going to do if I get COVID? And it was the first thought in his mind. And because he knew how to get hold of me, he rang me and said, what shall I do?
Yeah.
And it was, for him, it was a case of reassurance. It was a case of saying, well, these are the steps to take if this happens.
And quite a simple thing for you to do, but that would have helped them in a massive way, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Where was your first OT position?
I was doing a basic grade rotation, which is when you first come out of college, and you have the opportunity to do sort of 6 months in different specialties. So my first one was in Norwich and was in trauma and orthopaedics. So that was working with people that had hip replacements, knee replacements, or accidents to do with broken bones. So quite hospital-based, really.
Yeah.
What I call now real run-of-the-mill stuff.
Okay.
Getting somebody back up on their feet after surgery, back home.
Yeah.
Type of work. And the turnaround then was longer than it is now. But it was that thing of, right, you've had surgery, on your feet, get you home, and a sort of, getting those people back to function.
And is occupational therapy very different in a care environment than it is at the NHS, say?
The culture of the organisations is different, so the remit is often different. I think whether you work in NHS or whether you work in social care, both OTs have a huge skill set. They do differ, I think, because of the nature of where you are. And if you're working in a fast turnaround ward, that's going to be very different from the sort of people that are sitting on my caseload that I might have for a number of weeks or months. And I think when you work in social care, you certainly develop a very wide way of thinking. So if you don't know an answer to something, you go, oh, but I know who will, or I know where to go for that, or actually I need this solution or that solution. In health, it's much more focused. And so I think, both organisations create different roles for OTs. And then we get the good bit about trying to mesh those together so that we learn from each other. Because often the differences are more a point of, well, I don't know about this type of slings, but you do. Or I'm not so confident with special shower chairs, but you know more about it. And so I'm the same when I looked at health and going, well, actually, I haven't done proper rehabilitation for a long time. So you've got skills in that area that I haven't got in my area. So I think there's that element that we're both train as OTs, but I think the cultures and the environments of the organisation affect the way we do things or the roles that we've got.
Would you say it's easier to be an occupational therapist in the NHS or in social care?
I think it does very much depend on the person. And I mean, when I came to social care in 1996, I wasn't particularly thinking I'd still be here.
We've heard that before.
this is about later. But it's been a good fit for me.
And what has it been about care that surprised you, that actually this was something you were going to stick at?
I think because you have the breadth to be able to make a really big difference in someone's life, whether it be through adapting their home or moving them into other accommodation or providing them with specialist equipment, or sometimes just being a person who listens, who sometimes you don't think that you actually do very much, but actually you can make a difference just by that person being listened to, or giving that person some control back over their life, whether it's just that they can now open their front door themselves, or they can make themselves a cup of tea, or they can have a shower for themselves when they haven't had a shower for 4 years. Now they can do it.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing that makes you think, we can really make a difference.
It's things we take for granted, but when you lose them, it's a shock, isn't it? It's a real shock, and you kind of think, well, where's my life at now? So they must be quite grateful when you're able to help them.
Yeah, in the main. I mean, we can't. There are some situations where you can't change things, or where things are difficult for people, and you know, sometimes I'll say to people, I don't have the power to change things, or I haven't got any fairy dust today. You know, and I think people appreciate when you're honest to say, well, this is what I think we can do or can achieve, and these are the things that we can't. But I think at the heart of it, if you're honest with people, and they appreciate the fact that you're trying your best, and we do share the other OTs that I know in our team. We do share cases. We do chat through different things and say, I don't know what to do with this. What do you think? Do you think I'm on the right lines? Have you got any other ideas? I'm not doing very well with this bit of equipment. Do you think I should try something else? So we do quite a lot of that peer-to-peer chat.
But that's wonderful to feel that you have support. Because you don't get that in every job, do you?
No.
If somebody came up to you and said, well, I'm interested in becoming an occupational therapist. What advice would you give them? Say they were a school leaver and they were trying to make the next decision on what to do, be it at uni or college, and they had an interest. What would your advice be?
I think I would say, yeah, go for it. If that's what you want to do. See what the grades are. See what experience you've got outside of academics. Because, yeah, the grades I think are higher now. I said, but, you know, at the end of the day, any organisation needs good people on the ground who are good with people. And that's the thing that I always think is the strong bit for me is it's a people thing. And, you know, when I was trying to work out, should I go up the ladder? Should I think about management? I thought, you know what? I'm best when I'm out with people doing the day-to-day work. I'm not at my strongest sitting in meetings talking about policy, managing other people. I can do some of it, but it's not where I'm best.
You've been doing OT for a long time. Do you still enjoy it?
Yes, it's still challenging, and it's been challenging through COVID. But the day-to-day, getting out and seeing the people bit, I still love doing.
Penny, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.